Hey, what's up, guys? So, Season 8 of Dark and Darker will be starting on January 29th, as they have stated in the official Discord. And we don't really know what to expect. Nobody was really told anything. They're being really quiet about it. And I think it's for an interesting reason. They have given a little bit of like hints and clues as to what it could be. And I'm not gonna lie, it kind of surprised me. So we're gonna kind of go over it. So first thing I want to point out here, if you go to the leaderboards and you go to the season 7 rewards, you look here at the rewards and you're like, Ifrit, which is a fire Jinn. That's a new skin if you hit Pathfinder. Voyager, Volcano Campfire, and we have the Ember Flame Sash, which is the Demigod reward. I'm sure you guys see a little bit of a theme here. Fire, lava, interesting. Nothing too crazy. But keep in mind, when they do have these rewards here on HR, typically that means they hint at like what the next swipe will be. If you go over here to season 6 and you go over here to High Roller, right here you'll see that we have the Seawalker, the Seafarer's Feast telescope, Black Despair banner, which was kind of like a pirate ship flag, and this was kind of like foreshadowing water map, right? All this has like a water map theme, so it makes you think: are we getting some sort of like lava fire map or something? And if that's not enough, let me pull this up here. There's a couple images here. There's that, and there's this. This right here was on Grayson's bio. Interesting. What does he mean by the floor is starting to get warmer? Interesting. And not only that, if we pull up the Discord here, January 1st, Grayson says, "Happy New Year's, everyone. The next wipe is right around the corner." And he has a volcano emoji. Are we getting a volcano map next? Is that why they've been quiet? Because they want to really surprise us? I think we are. I honestly don't know. Nobody really knows, but that's just my guess. It's a pretty obvious guess. They're kind of hinting at it. But we'll see. We'll see. People are saying it could be a second Florida water map. There's like a big gap in the middle of the water map, which could be where a volcano might erupt from. Who knows? We're kind of just guessing. It could be a second layer of Goblin Caves, because Goblin Caves still doesn't have a Hell version. And people were also saying it could be a third level for Ice if they decided to continue with the three layer system, because supposedly Ice is like in a volcano or something, but who really knows? But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if volcano map will be a thing. That's gonna catch me off guard, because I was not expecting a map. I thought space map was gonna be like the next map, but it seems like it might not be. But yeah, as far as what to expect from Wipe, I know that they kind of mentioned a lot of different things. It's kind of hard to get a specific answer. It's kind of why I'm making this video, because I kind of like summarized a few things over like the past few months that they've talked about publicly. For sure, they were talking about the Gathering Hall being in place. They've been, it's been delayed for like 3 seasons now through the semi-wipe, semi-wipe, and they know that was like a really important thing in the game. Back in the day, we had the pregame lobby, which was like the main social space where people would like talk shit and stuff like that. But since they got rid of it, they understand they need to bring like an actual gathering hall where people can like meet up with their friends and have test dummies there to test their kits and duel each other and stuff like that. And then from there, they could potentially lead into guilds, guild battles with big ass bosses and raid bosses and stuff like that. So that's what they've been talking about, that they've been working on Gathering Hall, and then it's going to be next season. But obviously, we don't know for sure because we haven't really heard anything. But that was supposed to be one of the things. Another thing for sure, supposedly, Grayson dropped a message saying they're going to fix the rat problems for good. Let me see if I can pull it up. So if you look at here, on January 6th, Grayson said, "This wipe is soon, and the rat infestation will be cleansed for good." So hopefully they figured out a way to fix the rat problems, right? Because rats, it's not just like the druid rat form, but just the ratting in general, like rogues, and just going in and Squire and just being able to loot people's gear in the middle of fights is making this game very, very unplayable right now. I'm sure you've seen like the streamers playing, and they're getting stream sniped crazy style, and you got the Chinese arm tiers with walls fucking, tapping in and just taking everybody's gear. Yeah, it's fucking annoying. But yeah, it's a big issue. So supposedly that's going to be fixed. That's a good thing. That needs to be fixed. And then there's another thing that they talked about. They said, I think this was in STF's kitchen. He talked about it's time for the zone to go. because once they released Water Map, they realized like how impossible it is to be able to like do bossing and HR with the zone being there. It's like too difficult. Let me see if I can pull that up. So on November 20th in STF's Kitchen, he was talking about the Crow playstyle. He was talking about the zone. He was talking about the Water Map. And essentially, he was talking about how since he played Water Map, he understands why zone is bad, and he said it was going to be removed next season. He says there were also other reasons, just wanting to give adventurers a hardcore adventure. However, after seeing how the circle works in the Blue Maelstrom and how players interact with it, I was able to clearly understand the exact reasons why players dislike the circle. And then if you come down here a little bit, he says, for these reasons, the circle will be removed from High Roller in the future. However, we will look for ways to preserve the strengths mentioned above in a different form of design. There is a good chance that the extraction system itself will undergo a significant change, and this change may apply to both normals and High Rollers. Because of this, it will take some time for the circle to fully be removed from High Roller. But yeah, so they're pretty much saying that circle will be gone next season. Which makes me think, because of the fact that there's going to be a lava map, potentially will there be some interaction where lava will slowly start to like consume parts of the dungeon, and that will kind of work as a way to deter, some of these rat row gameplay, even though I don't really think that really helps that, but he seems to think it does. But maybe that'll kind of like take the spot of the circle in the future on the lava map. If there is a lava map, we don't even know, but I'm just assuming it is. But yeah, that'll be interesting. So yeah, removal of zone, that's one. And then arena rewards is next season. They talked about that, which is why if you've been playing arena and you looked at all the terrible maps, they had like blood platforms. They had like a bunch of terrible maps. And the reason for this, they were saying they were testing out the last limits of the arena to try and, just do whatever crazy modules they could before the final season, before, rewards. So next season, there's supposed to be arena rewards. So I'm hoping with all the input that we've gave them that they understand which modules are going to be fair and competitive, towards multiple different classes and playstyles. Certain modules may be good for range, something may be good for melee. They kind of have like a mix of them, so it's just not too egregious. Because like maps like Blood Platforms is just absolutely terrible, bro. Or even Bridge. The Bridge on Ruins is really, really rough for certain comps. But yeah, hopefully next season with arena rewards, that'll be fixed, and we will have arena rewards. Supposedly, we're supposed to be getting new perks, new skills, new spells. They've been pretty quiet about that, but I know STF talked about that in STF's Kitchen with like barbarian skills. Let me see if I can find it. So once again, here, November 20th in STF's Kitchen, he says, until Season 6, Terry and I handled balance adjustments and internal testing ourselves. However, since we are managing many different tasks at the same time, it was difficult to conduct enough repeated testing to properly validate each change. We were able to establish the overall direction, but we clearly recognized the fine-tuning required dedicated personnel and more specialized tools. In the meantime, various members of the design team helped out when they could, but since everyone had their own primary responsibilities, it was hard to maintain a consistent testing process. Based on the experience, we established a dedicated, balanced part this season to enable a more systematic and focused approach going forward. Thanks to this effort, we've been able to improve several abilities that were previously underused. I personally think they need to rework some of them because, they changed like Dark Offering, they changed Party Maker and Bard, they changed some stuff that I personally think shouldn't be in its final stage. It's still not very viable, but we'll see what they decide next season. He said, even if this work is still ongoing, and as you can see here, they know that there's still more work to be done, but we'll see. We plan to continue in this direction and strive to bring steady and positive changes in a consistent and sustainable way. Building on this, our goal for the next season is to introduce new abilities. So this is another thing to talk about. Next season, we'll have new abilities to as many existing classes as possible while implementing ideas that can inspire more exciting styles of play. I think they acknowledge that the different build diversity has totally been killed since they gutted all the like substats, like buff duration, debuff duration, all that kind of stuff. It completely gutted all the different special builds that you can make. Because before, I remember on like chest and pants and necklace, you can get 10% buff duration and debuff duration, stuff like that. Now it's like 5%. And even before, there was like unique gear. I don't know if you remember. I think you could get up to like 4 times a stat, but it was only 1 stat on a unique piece of gear. Which I talked a lot with the other partner, streamers, and they were saying that they agreed it was like a really good change. Maybe they could tune down like the plus all attributes, because plus 4 all on 1 piece of gear is pretty strong. But even some of the other people I was talking to thought that was fine, because that gear is so outrageously expensive that most people are not going to run that, because it's just insanely expensive. So, but yeah, hopefully, I would like to see them bring back unique gear with the 4-all. I think that really helped with build diversity. You know, I mean, if they decide not to like buff some of the substats on some of the gear, then they probably should bring back the unique. You know, they should do one of the two, either buff the substats or bring back the gear. And another thing, I think they diluted a lot of the substat gear that you find in dungeon, which also is kind of why the gear kind of feels bad. You know, they have undead damage bonus, they have demon damage bonus, stuff like that, headshot damage bonus, and I think that stuff should be in the game. But I think those stats should be gemmable only, because now you'll go in the gear and you'll kill a boss and it'll be unique, you know, unique piece of gear. And because it has 5 stats on it now, it'll be undead damage bonus, demon damage bonus, and a lot of the stat pool is just completely diluted, so a lot of the gear just feels bad. So hopefully next season they figure out what they want to do with that to make gear actually feel like good to loot. But yeah, as far as like the new skill spells in skills, building on your goal next season to introduce new abilities, as many classes as possible, and more exciting styles of play. For example, the Barbarian might gain a skill that allows them to throw their weapon, or a perk that lets them wield a 2-handed weapon in each hand. That shit would be fucking broken as fuck, but it would be interesting if they added some crazy shit like that. Because at this point, I think the bouncing on this game is not too bad. Obviously, I think Druid just completely breaks the game with its movement, and they kind of nerf Sork into the ground. I think they should probably buff Sork and maybe like nerfs like Frost Lightning and stuff like that. But as far as that goes, and Rogue Invis is another thing they really got to fix. But other than that, I think the classes are pretty fleshed out. There's a lot of cringe playstyles, like DP Cleric is just brain dead OP in melee combat, and you know everything is cringe. TM Lock is cringe; they'll kite you to death. You know, Rangers do a ton of damage in range, they 2-tap you. Like there will always be that stuff, but I think the game would feel a lot better if there was just like different builds, because not everybody will just be running the same cringe OP build, because people would be experimenting with different things. So hopefully they add more diversity in the game with the new stuff that they add. But yeah, other than that, SSF, we can just assume the first couple weeks will probably be SSF. They've been doing it every season. SDF said he didn't like it, but the community's really been enjoying SSF, so they've just been doing it the past few seasons, so we can just expect that. But yeah, season 8 could be a banger. We got to see. We don't want to get our hopes up, you know. We do this every single time, but you know they are slowly making good, positive changes. We have to be objective about that. You know, we call them out when they do some bad shit, but we also got to call them out when they're doing some good shit. They've been doing a lot of QOI changes or QL changes, like quest notifications and a lot of good things in the dungeon to make it easier for new players. And you know, I think they're slowly, surely bringing this game together. So hopefully the beginning of season 8 on the 29th will be a banger. I will be there on Twitch and YouTube streaming it crazy. But yeah, that's everything you need to know.